guys, welcome to JC Talks. I've decided to do a regular update about the situation in Mexico and how I'm doing at the moment. I'm more or less under self-quarantine. We don't have to stay in the house, we can go outside, but the government urges us to stay inside. Lots of people have been asking me, can you show us your apartment? Well, it doesn't even deserve the name apartment. It is about the size of a hotel room, and although I was in a hotel in Chetumal before, which was even bigger than this place is, and it didn't have a kitchen, so it's probably 25 square meters, and my days are getting pretty tiny, if you know what I mean. It's not only because of the news and the inputs you get from internet about what's happening in the world right now, but it's also because of the space so confined, and I can't stop thinking about the cliff house. I used to live in the Philippines. The last few months I was there, you know, overlooking the Bohol Sea, and I miss that view so much, and I miss the isolated location of the house. I had several rooms, I could walk through the house, I had several decks to be in the sun. Here I have to share the rooftop with the other guests, which are from all over the world, and it's a bit difficult to distance yourself on the rooftop from other people, especially when lots of them are out. So there are days I do go out because it's still allowed, and I think I should use the opportunity to go out until they really tell us to stay in the house. And but it's weird. It's weird when you. I mean, I live in this tourist area where thousands and thousands of tourists are every day, and now, like when you walk in Fifth Avenue, there's hardly anyone there. Shops are closing down. Usually it's, oh, my friend, I make you a good price. Now it is end of the day sale, apocalypse discount. It's a bit morbid. In the Mexican part, you don't notice that much. I mean, I think Mexicans can do a lot better when it comes to social distancing. In the supermarkets, people still flock together. You see them at bus stops, very close together, the queues and the ATM machines and the bank. It's just not the proper distance, if you know what I mean. And that's one of the reasons why I've decided to put myself more or less in self-quarantine. I do go out sometimes because I also feel very sad for the local restaurants. I mean, some people just started a new place, they are struggling to survive, and in a country with a weak economy like Mexico, where a lot of people live day by day, having only the next day to look forward to when it comes to income, it worries me. I'm in this conflict here. I want to stay at home and be obedient and do all the right things. I also feel very sorry for the local restaurants and the people in the streets that are trying to raise enough money to pay the rent. So sometimes I go out. The restaurants here have very strict rules. You have to disinfect your hands before you can enter. They clean everything. You are given the opportunity to disinfect your hands after you've touched money, or things like that. So I think that's very well organized, and I don't feel unsafe eating outside the house. Yet I also realize that when you stay at home and the government urges you to stay at home, you should stay at home as much as you can. So what do I do all day? Well, pretty much nothing. I have to find a new rhythm, a new schedule. Usually I worked in the mornings, and then I would go out, walk the beach, have a drink, stuff like that. I want to also watch myself for not overdoing things, because I know when I'm in a high energy level and I want to write and write and create, it will dry up within a few days, and then what am I to do? So I try to dose that, and I do some adult coloring, I read books, paper books, I play a game sometimes, and I must say I'm much more on social media than I was before. My social media presence, I mean, I try to quit social media altogether, but now my social media presence is more than ever. That's also because I worry about a lot of people I met around the world. And for the rest, it's very small here, and I clean a lot. It's very clean also at the moment. I think I've never lived in a house this clean before. So, yeah, that's about how I spend my days here in Mexico. It's kind of frustrating. First, my frustration was mostly about bureaucracy and being stuck here waiting for my papers to get finalized, which takes already like over a year. It will last 8 months and maybe longer because of this virus, who knows. And then now I'm also stuck because of a virus, and some days I get pretty frustrated about that, I can tell you that. But I try to keep the spirits high. I keep my inputs about the virus and what's happening in the world and what's happening in Mexico limited to 2 times a day, because I realize it takes a lot of energy. And because I'm a thinker, I tend to overthink. So I kind of have so many questions that are still unanswered, and I probably will never get answers to, like, are lockdowns really helping? Because look at Spain, look at Italy. How come those countries are affected that huge? How come the Mexican northern borders to the United States are still open when in the US the people are still are getting sicker and sicker? What will happen to the Riviera Maya where I live when the Dutch travel agencies, like they announced, will start flying in again after April 6th? You guys in Europe are way too sick to start traveling to Mexico, who is still in this sacred spot of being able to turn this all around and stop the widespreading of the virus. But on the other hand, I have to stop talking about this, because this is what's happening in my mind. You see the process. It's one question feeding another, feeding another, feeding another, and then I get in this kind of loop. It drives me nuts. So I should not do that. And I keep myself occupied. I'm so happy. I will show you my favorite spot in the house. I'm so happy I have that, because that means I am in touch with outside without even going outside. I just sit here. I can watch the streets. Hi guys, welcome to JC Talks. I have no idea what I'm going to say. Fans could do a lot better in the social distancing. When I